YouTube, we are now in the top 8, the week of the 2nd anniversary release, where we are opening up with a crazy match, Rescue Ace versus Rescue Ace, newly supported with the Diablo Star and Snake Eyes cards. We got Poplar, which is absolute insanity, as that card just came out in the TCG this week. By watching as long as you can, even having me on in the background while you're working or doing whatever, that greatly supports me. Commenting, liking, subscribing, all that good stuff. Let's begin.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
Begin. At least this guarantees Rescue Ace into the top 4. That's nice. You have Hydrant here, which is untargetable while you have another Rescue Ace in the field, so it's good to wait for you to have another Rescue Ace before activating its effect. And the Fire Engine was triggered off of the summon of the Hydrant to then summon itself onto the field, and now the Hydrant will search your deck for the Turbulence. The whole play, the core of the deck is the Turbulence. Now, Turbulence requires 2 Rescue Ace cards in the graveyard to banish to summon. So how are we going to do that? First, we're going to make a Link Karibo, then Link Karibo and the Fire Engine will be making the Hida. Now that we have 2 Rescue Ace in the grave, first we're going to use Rescue to rescue the Hydrant from the grave back onto the field. Now, instead of banishing the Hydrant, we could banish the Rescue. Rescue counts as a Rescue Ace, as we now have that Turbulence play. Turbulence cannot get ashed. Turbulence could get Impermanence. So if you start losing a Rescue Ace, Bailer and Impermanence are the main outs. And the outs for your outs are not in the game right now. They use Little Knight, they use Emergency, which they're not going to have until I leak them. Equip 4 cards into the back row. One of those cards will be activatable to turn their set because we control the Hydrant, and that would be the Alert. Because we have Hydrant, not only is it activatable, but it could search our deck instead of just adding from the grave back to our hand. We're now making Promethean Princess, which locks us into fire monsters only, but could reborn a fire from the grave, which will be reborning our Turbulence. Now, we're going to use Turbulence and Promethean to make the Amphibious Swarm Ship Amblo Whale. What's going to happen here is, if the opponent special summons, the Promethean Princess will pop that special summon. We also have Extinguish to destroy a monster, and then that monster cannot activate. We have Contain, which can contain a monster from attacking. Its effect is negated, and it cannot be used to summon from the extra deck. And then we have Rescue, which is like a DD Crow. We could steal a card from the opponent's graveyard and summon it onto our side of the field, or summon from our own. Let's go. We have the Airlifter, which we are not negating, not destroying. We're going to use Drone Lockbird to stop you from further adding cards from your deck to your hand. You are now going to be using the Triple Tactics talent to take control of my Hydrant. I don't think so, so we're going to chain Link Karibo to tribute the Hydrant, and now you could take control of the Ambo Whale, yeah? So now we don't have a fire monster to trigger the Promethean Princess until we rescue a fire monster from our grave onto the field. Come forth, Hydrant. And we want to go straight to the battle phase here because the Hydrant is attackable if there's not another Rescue Ace in the field. So with one attack being reduced to 0 by the Link Karibo, the other attack will go through, thus we lose the additional benefits on our Extinguish and the Contain. Reduce to 0, okay. And we also use Contain, so nice. We were able to stop both attacks. No attack and negated, can't use the extra deck. Reduced to 0, you can use the extra deck. We now have just Extinguish to extinguish a monster. Sinful Spoils, what's crazy is that Contain's supposed to contain you from using the card at all, and you still used it for the cost of your Sinful Spoils, so you played around it, but we have Ash to negate your summon of a level 1 fire from the deck. We are under Droll, so the Hydrant that you were potentially summoning here would not have even been activatable. This is also not activatable, which would return 4 cards that are banished and or in the grave back in the deck to draw 1, but we still get that additional normal summon of our Hydrant. We're going to Extinguish the Hydrant, get it off the field before you could link off with the Ambo Whale and the Hydrant. Thank you very much. Poplar added to the hand except by drawing it would have triggered. We have Hydrant adding a Turbulence. Now the Turbulence is banishing from the graveyard our Contain and Extinguish to come forth and summon. With the Turbulence on the field, we're going to use the Link Karibo to send the Hydrant to the grave to reborn, to then make a Nightmare Phoenix on summon, discard a card, pop a card in the field, taking out the Extinguish. Now, you have to control a Rescue Ace to even activate this, so it's just nothing. We got nothing. And just like that, we have over 8,000 damage without even having to activate our Turbulence, setting up to 4 cards from our deck onto the field. Let's go, let's go. Hopefully this is a 3-game duel. Opening up with our Snake Eye play over summoning our Hydrant, searching for the Poplar, triggering the effect to summon itself onto the field to then activate and search again, but the Droll and Lockberg will stop that search, but we'll stop the stop with our Crossout Designate to negate. Thus the Poplar gets summoned, we get search, and we now just have DD Crow. Is DD Crow actually a good card against Snake Eyes? We'll find out. As we link off the Poplar to trigger the effect to add itself into the back row, which is when we would potentially DD Crow, but we didn't. Looks like we're waiting for the Flame Burge. We're going to use the Ash to send the Poplar in itself to summon the Flame Burge from the deck. Now we are going to use the Sinful Spoils to send the Linkuriboh to summon a level 1 fire from the deck, which will be our Rescue Ace Hydrant. Grabbing an Impulse, which we already used up our normal summon here. I mean, this doesn't look so good, right? We have the Chase, which will be summoning the Diablo Star and setting up potentially, I would think, the Diablo Star negate trap. Yes? No. That's not very good. I feel like the Chase is only good if you set the trap during the end phase to then negate anything, because what is this going to do? Like, what did we even accomplish? I don't know. Do we have any disruption? Does nothing, does nothing, does nothing, does nothing. Am I seeing this right? Yeah, just a do nothing field. Okay. Well, to be fair, we got disrupted. Did we get disrupted? We stopped the Droll, so no disruption. And what? Something went wrong there, I think. Now, in response to activating a monster effect in the field, we're going to be chaining our Max C. We are not chaining the Impulse, which could have summoned a monster from the deck. We're going to wait on that effect, which it would have to be the direct chain to the activation of the monster in the field. So we could have done that plus used Max C in addition to it. We could have summoned the plane, which then would have triggered to draw 2, discard 1. If we play it, though. Maybe we don't. Now, in response to the Poplar being triggered after being added, we're going to be using the Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils to add a Diablo Star from our deck to our hand. Now, Poplar on summon, activating to search. Now we're going to use the Impulse, discarding itself to summon from the deck. Is it the plane? No, it's the Fire Engine. The Fire Engine instead is going to be able to, in response to your opponent's special summoning, it could special summon a Rescue Ace from the deck, only level 4. So that monster we are summoning from the deck in response to your special summon is going to be an Airlifter. Airlifter is not disruption. Like, none of this is disruption. I'm just like, we're just summoning. Okay, summon, vanillas. Hydrant searching for a Rescue Ace Impulse as we now summon for the deck a Flame Burge after activating our Snake Eye Ash. We now have Alert, which could add the Fire Attacker, the card we were talking about earlier, to draw 2 and discard. We're now sending to the graveyard to special summon our Diablo Star. This is all under Max C here. We're going a bit crazy here. Setting up the Sinful Spoils Doom, banishing double Rescue Ace from the grave to come forth and summon our Turbulence. We can't Ash the Turbulence, so what can we do against Turbulence? We could try to Nibiru it before it activates. Come forth and summon the Fire Attacker, and as we said, Nibiru tributing the entire field for... This could be a massive token. It's got to be like 20,000 attack? I don't even know. Huh. Yep, over 20,000. Double Flame Burge activating for both players, but only one is under Max C. And we also didn't even bother using the DD Crow in response to the Flame Burge activating. Reborning the Diablo Star in response to it being sent to the graveyard. Reborning also 2 level 1 fires, which is non-targeting. Which, yeah, if we banished one, they would have summoned the other 2, so that would not have stopped it. Ash is activating to add. The Fire Attacker is being triggered to special summon in response to a Rescue Ace being special summoned to your field. And now if you add a card from your deck to your hand, we're going to draw 2, then discard 1. Are we going to deck out soon? 19 cards left in our deck. We're kind of okay. Come forth, Hida. Are we trying to deck them out? What are we doing? Hida, reborn from the opponent's graveyard, the Airlifter, which now we can Ash to negate the effect of searching for a card here. I'm letting you cook. What are we cooking? What is this? Into our Promethean Princess. Initiating another draw, reborn from the grave into another draw, which we could link off into another draw. Turbulence is ready and activating with 11 cards in the hand, having nothing to stop it. Maybe we gotta start playing Veilers if this becomes more popular. Hydrant allowing the rescue to steal a monster from the opponent's graveyard, further drawing under Max C. Do you actually have the line to deck them out? You don't have 14 special summons. Promethean Princess wiping out the Diablo Star before committing to more plays within main phase 2. We have Linkuriboh tributing the Hydrant before the attack goes through. And what happens here is the Linkuriboh can't reduce the Turbulence to 0 because the attack was already declared. You have to summon the Linkuriboh before the attack of the Turbulence. And you can't summon the Linkuriboh in between attacks because you have player priority to declare another attack before the Linkuriboh can be activated. So generally, you use the Linkuriboh effect at the start of the battle phase. That's going to be the way. Or you do it in response to one of the attacks to reduce the attack of the other monster, but then that attack can attack into the Linkuriboh without reducing it. Hopefully you understood that. Main phase 2 into the Amblo Whale. 13 cards left in the deck, and then we gave up. So the Ash negating the Airlifter potentially negated a lot more special summoning that we could have done. Our back row Rescue Ace cards are dependent on us controlling a Rescue Ace, and more importantly, being a Hydrant, giving it additional effects like being able to negate the effect, can't attack, can't use the extra deck, pop a card, that monster then cannot be activated, even additional copies. Let's get to it. Flame Burst within the draw phase is going to be special summoning a Diablo Star from our back row, now making the Sinful Spoils of Doom activatable to reduce the field by 2,500 attack, and any monster reduced to 0 will then be destroyed. We have the Poplar being sent to the graveyard, activating to equip itself into the back row here. As the Diablo Star is searching and setting a card from the deck, which will be our wanted spoils to be used next turn. Bro, stop pausing. You're banned. Maybe. No, I'm too lazy to ban you. DD Crow banishing the original Sinful Spoils from the graveyard before it is active. Wait, in response to it activating, the Wanted wants to return the original Sinful Spoils back in the deck to then draw a card, but we're going to stop them from drawing by banishing it instead. Linking this up into a Nightmare Unicorn on summon, discard a card, spin a card in the field, back in the deck, contain, negate the Unicorn. Now Unicorn cannot be used to summon an Access Code Talker. It also can't attack. It's useless. We are rescuing a card from our graveyard, reborning our Hydrants, triggering the Promethean Princess to target and destroy. Come forth and summon. The Ambo Whale will then trigger to reborn the Hito from the graveyard. Using the additional summon of the field spell effect to summon another Hydrant, we're going to then use the Sinful Spoils of Doom to wipe out the entire field, and the Diablo Star is unaffected from monster effects for the rest of the turn. Banishing 2 for our Turbulence. Turbulence could set up to 2 cards from the deck here. Triggering the Fire Engine on the summon of the Turbulence. We're going to use the Extinguish to not only destroy it, but prevent further copies of Turbulence from activating for the rest of the turn. Come forth and summon our Ash, grabbing a Hydrant that we can't normal summon. We're going to then send the Poplar in itself to then summon a Flame Burst from the hand or deck. Flame Burst is going to push the Promethean Princess into the back row, making it summonable to our own field during the next turn. Wipe up the field a little bit, suicide our monster into the Fire Engine. Now, what are we doing here? The Sinful Spoils of Doom then sends your Diablo Star to the graveyard during the next standby phase. Ash attempting to add a card from the deck to the grave is going to be negated. We now have the Sinful Spoils. Snake Eye is going to return a card in the graveyard back into the deck to search our deck for a level 1 fire, which could be a Kurikara, or it could be another Ash, which we already used up our normal summon. Ash is going to send itself plus our Promethean Princess to summon a Poplar from the deck, which was stopped from being added, so we summon it through a different way. Now, the original Sinful Spoils already used its second effect, so its first effect of summoning a level 1 fire from the deck cannot be used. Jeez, there is so much going on here. Can we just end the duel? We have Impulse being activated, so the Hida cannot activate, even though it does not activate on the field anyway. We're going to be using the effect of the Poplar within the damage chip after being sent to the graveyard to equip itself into the back row here. We could not even finish the duel, as we now return 4 cards in our grave and are banished back in the deck to draw 1. Gia, did the tournament go longer than usual? Because I think the meta just became a lot slower. Shokan is the Hida, which could steal any fire monster from the opponent's grave, stealing your Turbulence to use it against you to set up to 4 Rescue Ace cards from our deck as we just set up a Contain. We have Contain to negate. We have Extinguish to pop. Let's get to it. We are going to summon our Ash. We are going to contain it from being able to search. Now, the Ash could still be used for the extra deck because they don't have a Hydrant on the field. We are now going to follow up with the original Sinful Spoils to send our Poplar to summon a Hydrant, to trigger the Poplar to re-put itself back onto the field, to then use Extinguish to pop the Hydrant before it activates searching your deck. Now, your back row card could be used against you as my Flame Burge will target it to summon it onto my fields. So being able to summon the opponent's back row cards with Flame Burge, that's a thing, and it's wild. And that also triggered my Promethean Princess to pop it anyway, to then come forth and summon. Triggering the Amber Whale when destroyed to reborn a Hito from the graveyard. Because you destroyed a card I control that isn't the Turbulence through a card effect that triggers the Turbulence to pop a card in the field. Okay, Hito's here. Amber Whale, when destroyed, is going to be, because you destroyed a card, Amber Whale will banish and then pop a card in the field, taking out your field spell. Okay, so the recursion of the field spell is now out of the picture here, as you now have just 11 cards left in the deck. Please finish this. There's nothing left. They can't really do anything. They really have nothing. Add with, thank you, surrenders. Whew. Okay, let's go to game 3. Let's start this off with our Hydrant triggering the Fire Engine alongside it. The Hydrant, even though it's untargetable, will be negatable with the Ash Blossom attempting to add that much-needed Turbulence from the deck to our hand. We are following up with our other engine now, using the Wanted to grab a Diablo Star, sending the Hydrant to come forth and summon to then set up an original Sinful Spoils from our deck to the back row to then activate it. Elf could reborn from our graveyard a level 2. Baron de Fleur can negate anything. If you special summon a monster, the Promethean Princess will destroy it. Let's go. Ash in response to you adding from the deck as we cross out Designate Negate, but the Baron de Fleur could negate the negate, but it does not. All right, we allowed our Max C to get negated instead of fully resolving that Max C. I don't know, should Baron de Fleur have negated? Baron de Fleur is also untargetable here. We're just saving it for something better. Poplar, Chainlink blocking the Diablo Star from being negated as we talked about earlier in today. That's what is a good part with the Poplar blocking it. Reborn the Masquerena, which could use the Sprite Elf to link. When Poplar is sent to the graveyard, it equips itself back into the back row. We now have the Sinful Spoils to send a card we control to then summon a level 1 fire from the deck. Went to the battle phase, and the Masquerena did not activate to link off. Now Ash will be negating the Sinful Spoils summon of a level 1 fire from the deck. I do not think so, which could have been a Rescue Ace Hydrant. We now have the Wanted returning the Sinful Spoils back into the deck to then draw 1. We are normal summoning our Ash to then link this off into Hida. Hida could steal a fire monster from the opponent's graveyard. We still have not used the Baron de Fleur, by the way, and by summoning the Hida, we're going to trigger the effect of the Promethean to pop it. Now that would trigger the Hida to search the deck for a Poplar. When added, Hida, add Poplar, trigger Poplar, come forth and summon, grabbing the dramatic Snake Eye Chase. Snake Eye Chase is going to equip a Diablo Star into the back row, then summon it during the end phase, but it already activated its effect this turn, so it's not going to set up the trap, which is an Omni Negate. And I can't believe Baron Baron's chilling. Has not negated anything yet. Nothing worth negating. What? Baron de Fleur is chilling. Could have negated Crossout, and then the Maxi, I think, alone would have decimated them. And then with the not negating Crossout, you literally just did not make any play worth negating afterward. Starting off with our Butler and Performapal Odd Eyes, we're going straight into our Pendulum Shokan play against no hand traps whatsoever. We have Apollo USA with double monster negate, and we never ended up with the Pendulum Graph Trap that sends a card on the field to the grave, or I should say pops it. So after all of this, what did we accomplish? 1 negate, 2 monster negates, and we have the Promethean Princess pop a special summoned monster. Just 4 disruptions. Now, the Sinful Spoils of Doom is a level 7 or higher spellcaster. It doesn't require the Diablo Star, so I guess it is better than the Trap. The Trap requires Diablo Star. The Quick Play spell can use the Astrograph to reduce the field by 2,500 attack and then destroy anything reduced to 0. Let's go. Johnny Banger, thank you for adding me. What's up, my friend? Thank you. We have Pancratops here sending itself to the graveyard to pop the Borreload as the Apollo USA negates. We're going to chain Miscellaneous Source to make our dinosaurs for the rest of the turn be unaffected from activated effects. Now, what's unfortunate here is by negating the Miscellaneous, we're not negating the effect of summoning a monster from the deck. We could actually use our other Miscellaneous in response to you negating our Miscellaneous. Thus, our dinos for the rest of the turn will be unaffected. Yep, that just happened. Our Borreload kind of got outplayed there. Now, we are going to add Max C on top of this. So even though your dinos are unaffected, I'll be drawing per special summon, hopefully dissuading you from special summoning. Let's see if that works. We're going to activate Ground Xeno, adding from our deck a Megalo Smasher to then pop the Petite. That will trigger the Petite and should trigger the Xeno Meteorus. That's a double special summon under Max C. And we chose to... you can't really choose the Chainlink blocks here. The Meteorus in the TCG could be Chainlink blocked by the Petite, but we are under different rulings where a trigger effect has the priority of a quick effect. Hopefully you understand that. Thus, it has to be the later Chainlink. I prefer this ruling over the TCG, by the way, and that's going to be a negate. Petite come forth and summon from the deck, Oviraptor. We're going to be grabbing our Babysaurus. And the reason I prefer the ruling in OCG and in Master Duel more so than TCG, because you have to constantly verify with your opponent that do they have a private knowledge trigger that is going to be on a lower chain link than your own card effects, and you have to keep on asking your opponent. Where in this, you don't have to really ask. You could just activate your cards and they go, okay, I'm going to add my trigger on top of them. Now, Babysaurus getting popped by the Oviraptor to then reborn the Petite, triggering the baby after being popped to summon an Archosaur. I think we're going for lethal. This is a lethal play. This is it. Petite summoning from the deck a Giant Rex. As we now link this off into a Link Karibo, I think a Pentastag's coming. Miscellaneous Source banishing 2 to summon a Babysaurus from the deck as we link this up into an Elf. That's not Pentastag and it cannot be used for Link summoning, so we got to get that Elf off the field. How do we get it off the field if we want a Pentastag? What? Pentastag's over here? It's not pointing to anything. It's got to point to the card to give it the defense piercing. Wait, no. Okay, double evolution pill just got negated. Giant Rex being summoned. Now you could be thinking there's nothing in defense. Well, the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno could force a card into defense. We are going to use the Ground Xeno effect while in the graveyard to fusion summon using our hand into our Gigantozauler to add a dinosaur in the graveyard back to our hand. On summon, add the Babysaurus. What are we doing? Are we actually cooking something? Lagia is a Solemn Judgment, can negate everything but a monster effect. Thus, the Promethean Princess, which made it so the Lagia was untargetable thanks to the Elf, so the Elf had to be targeted instead. Very nice. So, this dude's trolling. We trolling. Like, we know that we already lost, so we're just trolling. Or, you know, we're not trolling. We tried to deck them out. We were trying to deck them out. Legitimate plays. We could have further cooked. We could have summoned the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, which they would have drawn again. We could have popped the baby, which would have flipped the field down, and then which would have summoned another monster from the deck, which would have drawn another card. So they did not deck out because of the Ash. The Ash stopping the double evolution pill screwed up everything. I do think we could have decked them out. So the deck out was the play. Lagia is going to be negating the effect of reducing the whole field to 0 attack, or minus 2,500, I should say. So Lagia dies. Secure Gardena dies. The Gigantozauler just gets reduced to 1,300 and stays. That card is so interesting. The Sinful Spoils of Doom. Reduce, pop, and make your monster unaffected from monster effects. I like it. It's spicy. Very well done. Pendulum. Could not deck you out. We tried. It was a good effort. It was. It was well done. You didn't mess up the Pentastag. We were just trying to deck them out. Oviraptor grabbing our Royal Baby as the ground Xeno adds the Xeno Meteorus to then pop the baby, triggering the Meteorus and the baby to summon 2 bodies onto the field here. Maybe because the UI is not the best, there are instances, and I think it's very easy to screw this up, where Oviraptor could pop the baby, then summon the same baby that you popped, thus the baby does not activate, and you completely screwed up your entire combo. So make sure that does not happen. So when it's telling you to choose which baby to summon, it's the baby on the left, from left to right. The right is the top baby, the left is the bottom baby. You kind of have to just memorize that because it doesn't really identify unless one is royal and the other isn't which baby you popped. Let's talk about the disruptions we have here. We could flip the entire opponent's field face down, non-targeting. We could negate a monster, and it's a little bit better than Apollo USA where it could negate twice in the same chain, but usually has less negates. We have the Chang Ying. If a card gets banished from either player, it then activates to further banish a card on the field and in the grave. But there has to be a card on the field and in the grave in order to activate, and the pendulums usually do not go to the grave. Let's go. So flip, negate, and banish mates. We now have a card in the graveyard, so the Changing would be activatable. We're going to be activating Max C in response to the activation of the Butler. So before they pendulum summon, which would be the Harmonizing, which would then summon another monster from the deck, so we're going to draw at least 2 cards here. So now we have to choose, what do we chain link block? Do we want to search for up to 2 cards, or do we want to summon a monster from the deck? You are going to apply this mechanical knowledge to every single deck you're playing against a negate on what card to protect, because you're going to choose the chain links properly. And what's it going to be? We're protecting the Sorcerer. Okay. The Harmonizing will be the protection, and we're not Dulka negating anyway. That's interesting, because the Harmonizing is going to be making a Baron de Flor. I feel like we probably should have negated. Is it even making a Baron de Flor? It did not summon the Oath Dragon. It summoned a Purple Poison instead. We're going to flip the whole field face down. That's why we didn't negate. We didn't care. Flip it face down. Pop in the Petite. Petite is now extra disruption as it summons a Pankratops from the deck to pop any card in the field. This is not looking good for TTK. We still have double negate. We have pop. We have banish a card in the field and in the graveyard, which could be triggered off of the called by if there's a monster in the grave. Dulka is going to negate and destroy the Starving Venom from copying the effect of the Dino Wrestler. I don't think so. Yeah, and then whenever we want, just called by the monster that's in the grave, as long as there is a monster in the grave, triggering Chang Ying to then banish and then banish. TTK, is it a brick if we just have Diablo Star? Let's find out. Diablo Star, discard to then... yeah, that's a brick. That's not very good. We do not have the original Sinful Spoils package within the deck. We're just using the Sinful Spoils of Doom, which could reduce the entire opposing field by 2,500, which it actually can't if we use Miscellaneous Source to make us unaffected from the reduction. So now it's gone. So what do you do with Ash? You save Ash for the Miscellaneous Source. Meteorus is summoning itself onto the field. This is when we Ash. Perfect Ash. But then called by is going to negate. Damn, the Ash is all we had. We desperately needed that. Now the Meteorus will generally turn into a non-dinosaur, thus making the Sinful Spoils of Doom activatable, but then it's not going to be that good against whatever they summon. We're going to pop the baby to summon a Megalo Smasher. The baby then summons an Oviraptor, which then searches for a Petite. We still have our normal summon, as we then normal summon the Petite to pop the Petite to summon the baby Source, triggering the Petite to summon from the deck a Giant Rex. As we now exceed into Lagia, Solemn Judgment, it negates anything besides a monster effect. As we now summon our Chang Ying. So instead of having to summon a Baron de Flor, we have Lagia to protect the Chang Ying from the Sinful Spoils of Doom. We have double Evolution Pill, banishing the Giant Rex and the Psyframe Driver to come forth and summon an Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. Chang Ying being triggered off of the double evolution pill will banish a card on the field and in the grave. We have Lagia to potentially negate the sinful spoils of doom, which is exactly what we're going to do. Negate. And the giant Rex will summon itself onto the field here. Come forth, come forth. Scooping. Both players, very good. TTK, really unfortunate for TTK just bricking. The brick happened. Bricks do happen. We still had Ash, which was going to be quite effective against Dinos, except the called by kept them in game. Everyone would quit from Maxi going from 95% usage to 100. That's where we draw the line. Oh my gosh, we're toggling on. We did not forget to set it. We're adding it on purpose with the toggle on to further fusion summon. Add the Alibur to then fuse the Cartesia and the Albaz to make the Albion Sanctifier, which is untargetable. Let's go. Right, we already have it. That's it. The puppet is there. It can't be targeted by impermanence, can't be stopped here, and it's just gonna summon it. Just like that. Boom. Immediately applies its effect. It's a continuous effect. So even if you chain Droplet, you chain a quick effect, you like book a Monet, it does not matter. It applies it immediately that you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except gimmick puppets. Pretty cool. Good job. Dog's name, we have Jaeger and Kyojin. We have Torn Scales being special summoned alongside it is going to be our boots. Now, why didn't we activate the Torn Scales? Not that you probably even want to hear this because you maybe don't care about this deck, but I'm going to tell you anyway. If you activate your normal summon Torn Scales, you actually screw up the play that you're making right here, which is to send a Water Enchantress to banish and grab the right of Arizamir, which would not be activatable because you activated a normal monster. A normaled monster, not a normal one, a normaled. Now, the Water Enchantress, as we said, add the Rite of Arizamir. It's a legal activation here, but the Drone Lockbird's going to stop us from adding a Griffin with the Fateful Adventure, which kind of screws things up here. So we're just going to link off the token into a Link Spider. We could make an Anaconda into DPE. Cutting our combos quite short, thanks to that Droll. Send for Fusion Destiny to now make our DPE non-target pop a card on the field. We're popping early, which plays into the Bystials. As long as we have a monster on the field, they can Bystial, but they can't Bystial if we don't have a body on the field. Just don't put a body on the field and they can't Bystial. We're good. Activate? Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. Can't Bystial DPE. That was a good draw phase toggle on. DPE is here. Now it's safe. We're good. We're good. We have negate a monster. We have pop a card in the fields. Let's go. This deal going to be banishing the boots. That could not have been banished to search for a Fogblade due to the Droll. Druid Swarm and Magna Hut both being summoned, also banishing the Denier. Using the DPE to pop itself plus the Druid Swarm, so the Druid Swarm effect of sending a special summon monster to the grave is now going to waste. We have Cartesia on summon activating to fusion summon, but the Fogblade will be negating. No fusion summon play for you. Now the Maximus cannot be summoned unless we have an extra deck monster in the grave. So we're going to link off our field into an Anaconda. Okay. Anaconda sending from our deck to the graveyard a branded fusion. Anaconda is only legal in Master Duel. In TCG and in OCG, it's no good. Going straight into our Mirror Jade, which you have to go into the Mirror Jade because you can't special summon further beyond the initial special summon here. We have a non-target monster banish as the DPE is now summoned. So DPE versus Mirror Jade, who wins? This will be quite interesting. Non-target pop versus non-target monster banish. We're going to be banishing to summon our Malicious as we now add a Cloak with the reinforcement in the army. Normal summoning our Cloak to then summon our Dark. Dark Gloom Charmer could summon an Anaconda from the opposing graveyard only to where the Dark is pointing to. So if we chain banish, we banish the DPE instead. We did not activate DPE. to keep it in the graveyard. By popping itself and going to the grave in response to the Mirror Jade, it would have then been resummoned next turn. What the? We're now going to use the Anaconda we stole and the Dark to now make our Rusty. Now, if he activated DP, he could have changed his mind to then banish the Dark instead. So Mobile X really wanted the Dark to not get banished. So this was on purpose. We're going to send from the deck a Ragged Gloves to then equip a Shade. Shade could summon onto the field as a monster as long as we have no trap in the grave. Cloak's going to banish to search for a Greaves, which will trigger the Torn Scales in the grave to summon itself onto the field, triggering the Greaves to summon itself onto the field to then make a Leviair. Leviair will special summon a banished monster that is level 4 or lower. Onto the field we go with Water Enchantress. We're now going to use the Leviair and Water Enchantress to make a Dagda. Dagda is here, using Water Enchantress to grab a Rite of Erismere, which is semi-limited. So that is our, okay, we can add from the graveyard if we want to, though. The Druid Swarm is going to, in response to the Rite of Erismere, banish the Malicious from the grave. Now, why did we do that? The Dagda wanted to chain to the Rite of Erismere to set a Scythe from the deck, and we just chain link blocked the Dagda. So we gotta wait for another activation of a card in the field, which we're gonna be adding a Griffin Rider here, discarding the Draco back, which will trigger to equip onto the Adventure token. The Draco back could spin a card on the field back to the hand. We're going to spin back the Mirror Jade, chain the Dagda to the Draco back, so the chain link block wasn't really that big of a deal. We had so many more card effects we could have used to chain the Dagda to. The Mirror Jade does not activate because it was spun to a private knowledge area. We now use the Fog Blade to banish and summon the Greaves, use the Ragged Gloves to banish and send from the deck to the grave a Boots, banish the Boots to search our deck for a Trap, which will be our Fog Blade. Now, with the field, we have Dagda and Greaves being sent to the grave for a Unicorn to discard the Fog Blade, to then banish the Fog Blade, to then reborn a Phantom Knight from the grave, to then go into an Access Code Talker for lethal damage. It's happening. Or we actually don't even need to. Oh, wait. Okay, we're fine, we're fine. We still have game, I was like, why did we stop cooking? Did we already Fogblade banish? We already Fogblade banished, so we did not go for game early. We just could not use the Fogblade. We're fine. If this activates, we can negate, destroy, and we still have 6,000 damage on the field. Yup, we're fine. We did not miss lethal. Everything is fine. Yup. Be gone. Albaz as it attempted to fuse into a Mirror Jade. And wham bam, thank you ma'am. Lethal damage. Nice. Okay. Let's take this to game 3. Begin. We are going to bring in High Spirits, discard to grab a kit, and also send an Albion to set up during the end phase a branded spell or trap into our back row, or add it to the hand and use it that turn during the end phase with our toggle on. We have some decent disruptions here. The Mirror Jade with a non-target monster banish, the Branded in red, which could go into a Chimera to get poppin' of cards in the fields. The Quem could reborn a monster from the graveyard, and the Mercurier can negate a monster effect anywhere as long as we control a Mirror Jade or another Albaz fusion. Water Enchantress, are we negating? Yes, we are. Are we going to finger the negate? Yes, we are, mate. Call by the grave, negate the negate. Thus, the Water Enchantress will resolve correctly, giving ourselves our Rite of Erismere. Yes. Now, the Birdwind Banish activates, but it is negated. We have the Fateful Adventure activating to search our deck for a Griffin to then discard a card after adding Goodbye to our Scythe. Rite of Erismere special summoning a token here, chaining the Griffin Rider, so as soon as the token is summoned, we're going to have the ability to negate. We can negate the Mercurier. We can negate the Branded in red. What are we negating? We're going to equip the Draco back, which will force them to make a play. Griffin Rider is negating the Mirror Jade non-target monster banish. Now, oh my gosh. Do you have to destroy? If you do that, destroy. It's required to destroy. That sucks. That's not good. Because by destroying it, the Quem could reborn it. Oh gosh. Oh no, we actually did not want that to happen, but we have DD Crow, so we did want it to happen. We changed our mind. It's good. Banish the Mirror Jade, stop it from being reborn with Quem, and it would have been activatable again. forcing the activation of the Branded in Red. We're going to be activating it thanks to the Draco back, adding to our hand an Albaz, and we could get fusion summoning. We're going to be fusing with the Albaz and Quem, making our Albion Sanctifier Dragon. Albion Sanctifier Dragon could take 2 monsters from either graveyard and summon them onto either side of the field. Huh? You got scythed by your own scythe. Has that ever happened? You now can't use the extra deck because of your own scythe. You did this to yourself. Boots banishing main phase 2 to grab ourselves a Fog Blade to monster negate, but we can't negate the Albion Sanctifier because it's untargetable. Also, the Mirror Jade wiped out the entire field during the end phase because you destroyed it. Now, we're in big trouble. We're going to grab a Dogmatica Maximus, sending from the extra deck a Gangrel. We're going to be searching for the Quem. Quem sending an Albion. Albion sending a Retribution. Retribution adding back the Branded Fusion in the graveyard back to our hand. Come. Very nice. And now it's time to get Branded Fusion. Using with sending Cartesia and Albaz from the deck to the graveyard to make an Albion, which, if not used for the Fusion Summon, could still declare an attack. Activate, triggering also the Quem to reborn a Cartesia from the graveyard. We're going to use the Fog Blade to negate the Albion from summoning a Mirror Jade. It also can't attack. So what do we have here? We have, is this enough for lethal or what? Don't we have a trap in the graveyard? Uh-oh. The Fog Blade being sent to the grave has nothing to summon, actually. Lubellion setting up a Branded Lost, and just like that, after stealing the Artifact Scythe from Mobile X, lethal damage. Very interesting. Very interesting. I think Branded, in a way, is a direct power creep of a deck like Phantom Knight. We have in the top 8 Labyrinth versus Vanquish Soul, and this Vanquish Soul is playing Sinful Spoils. We got the Diablo Star. So what is our response to the Diablo Star? We have the Dogmatic Punishment, which could pop 2 cards in the field. We could summon from the deck a Labyrinth monster, which will then pop any card in the field. Stake your soul, reveal a fire to summon a Raisin for the deck, and will be negated by Ash. I do not think so. Will we play right into Nibiru after 5 summons we lose our whole field? Summon number 1, summoning our Diablo Star Black Witch, using its effect to set up an Omni Negate. It can negate anything. The Ash will be successfully negating that Welcome Labyrinth, thus you will not be popping any card in the field. Do we follow up with the Dogmatic Punishment? Of course we do. We do not want them to be able to negate anything. We're going to be sending a Tri-Brigade Arms, then sending a Garura draw a card. The Sinful Spoils of Betrayal is no good now. It needs a Diablo Star to send to the grave in order to negate. We now have Rock of the Vanquisher after our summon of Pantera to add the Jiaolong in the grave back to our hand. Thus, then follow-up setting a Dust Devil. So our only disruption really is going to be special summoning our Jiaolong and then changing it to defense to flip a monster in the field face down, which is really not that big of a deal. We have Pada E off the top of the deck, banish 6 randomly from the extra deck to draw 2. Rock of the Vanquisher is going to add a Vanquish Soul monster in the graveyard to our hand, but it does not target. But there's only one. So the only one you could add, we are going to finger. Negate. To battle we go. Big enough to take out the Rock of the Vanquisher. Damn. Maybe we should have chained the Rock of the Vanquisher to the Pot of E. Thus, they would have not drawn into the way to counter your Rock of the Vanquisher. Yeah? If that's what you want to do. We now have Borger and Jiaolong, which are bricks. You can't summon them without another Vanquish Soul in the field, without the Rock of the Vanquisher either. Brick into a dead Dust Devil, into a bricked Betrayal, into a Magna Hut, which we could then tribute summon, I guess. Magna Hut activating to grab a dragon during the end phase. We are going to negate that end phase search. Do we tribute summon and then what was that even good for? I don't think that's even really a big deal. If we tribute summon, we could still use the Dust Devil, but the Welcome Labyrinth with the Labyrinth will pop the Magna Hut on the resolution of summoning our Lovely, and because we popped a monster with the Trap effect, which was given from the field spell, we're going to further pop another card in the field and or in the hand. Not and or, but or. Field or hand. Stake your soul versus, they do have a hand trap. They got plays. They could use the Coup Clock and the Chandelier for disruption. So let's pay attention to the disruption. This chain link order is important. If you're going to activate both in the same chain, it has to be the coup clock first, then the chandelier, because the clock has to be in the graveyard on the cost activation of the chandelier, discarding a card, so that the clock could then summon itself onto the field, making the newly set card from the deck activatable only while we have a Labyrinth monster on the field. So let's go. Very well done. In my advanced Labyrinth guide on YouTube, it does outline a play like this. Trigger the clock. Wait, we could go spell the clock, which we didn't. We could go spell the big welcome. We don't even need to stop the clock. Let the clock summon. Ghost Bell is going to instead negate the big welcome. That's devastating. Generally you use Ash. Ash could stop welcome in big welcome. Ghost Bell could only stop big welcome. So, I mean, this is such a good play on turn 0. This could straight up win the entire duel on your opponent's turn before you even have a turn, but the Ghost Spell negate, damn. And not a lot of people play Ghost Spell. It's a rare card to see, but because it's an Earth, it has other synergy with Vanquish Soul. Thus, probably this is not so good of a match. We're also using the triple tactics talent to look at their hand. I mean, this duel is so over. I just got to speed this up. What the heck? We haven't even had a turn yet, and our hand is gone. We have no hand. No hand. What the heck? Pot of E off the top of the deck? Holy moly. Draw 2, drawing into the Nadir Servant, sending the Entis to pop a card in the field, also searching for our Ecclesia. Goodbye to the Rock of the Vanquisher, but not until we activate its effect to add a Vanquish Soul in the graveyard back to our hand. And, I mean, we're going to be doing a lot of plays here. We're going to be able to summon Jiao Long, search our deck, reveal Fire. We are going to be able to grab a Caesar. Caesar's not going to be able to pop a card on the field, though. I don't know. Actually, we don't have as many plays as I thought we would have. Borger draw a card is probably going to be one of our only plays, potentially drawing into a hand trap, but it's not like Labyrinth is threatening lethal damage here. So the duel is quite slow to the point where it doesn't really matter. Yeah, the clock triggering to add in the graveyard back to the hand or special summon. Raisin is just triggering the effect of Jiao Long to come forth and summon. Not a big deal. Nothing too crazy. In response to Maxi, we're going to return the Raisin back to our hand so that they don't get that additional draw. And we're chain special summoning Pluton. Pluton is kind of a trashy card, but it's still fun to summon. It could like change its attack to 3,000. Why not? It's another attribute, so that's something. You reveal a fire, it becomes 3,000 defense. You reveal a darkened earth, it gains 3,000 attack, which we didn't even have an earth until we were going to add an earth of the Jiao Long. So, okay, cool. The Dear Servant, not ashing. Holding the ash for the big welcome or welcome. I agree. Knowing that you're playing against Labyrinth, I think I would do the same. Yep, I agree with that 100%, maybe 90%. Because negating that big welcome is way better. All right. Jason is here on summon, getting negated by the impermanence. I don't agree with that. I don't like Imperm or Veiler on Raisin because it's very likely going to be dodged by a Borger or Caesar. But if they activate Borger because of your impermanence, you could then follow up with the punishment, but you still lose your impermanence, but you still tricked them to activate a Borger. And then even in response to your punishment, they could then reveal another Caesar in addition to the Borger. Thus, you lose your punishment and your impermanence for pretty much for free. All right, Gia, what's going on? They're fighting. As I said, follow up, Dogmatic Punishment, and then we would just scoop if they revealed Caesar. That's a scoop. Did not have Caesar. So the Tri-Brigade being sent to the graveyard will then send a Garura to then draw a card, maybe drawing into a hand trap here. Torby will be triggering, summoning itself onto the field, and we do have to be careful about Nibiru as we have summoned just once. Gia, what's going on? Pantera special summon, that's summon number 2. Ash, which was saved for that big welcome. Negate. Gee, is the tournament going longer than usual? Yes, I'm sorry. The dogs have the zoomies at night, and we're going quite late. Reveal a dark to summon a dark. We now have Borger to reveal a dark to then draw a card every single turn. Going in onto the Torby, it's going to jump off the field by discarding a card from the hand to set up a Welcome Labyrinth to be used next turn. Goodbye to the Ecclesia. Did you just set a card in the same column as Pantera, which could reveal an Earth and Fire that you're so lucky we don't have to destroy that? Huh? We now have Rock of the Vanquisher, which will be special summoning our Mad Love, searching for the Dust Devil, which could flip up to 2 cards in the field face down, but instead we're making Dugaris. Dude, Nibiru, we actually got Nibiru. Dugaris was going to draw 2 more cards or reborn a monster from the graveyard. I assume we would have drawn. Lady of the Castle summoning from the hand during the end phase here, making sure that token was summoned in attack position, by the way. 6,000 damage. The Lady in the hand is going to be summoning itself into defense here, so don't get too excited. Come forth into D, and we now have Lovely here. Lovely is here, 8,900 damage. Using the big welcome to spin back the token, trigger the Lovely to pop a card in the hand, triggering the Bro, are we playing into Nibiru? Well, how many summons are we at? We're like 1, 2, 3, 4. If we do 1 more after that and we don't pop the Nibiru, we're gonna get Nibiru'd. Oh my gosh. Summon number 4 did not pop Nibiru. Okay, we're good. Lethal damage. 1 summon off from getting Nibiru'd ourselves. You'd have to think with your own Nibiru on the field, you'd be thinking that you should not play into the opponent's potential Nibiru also. All right. All right. It is time for the top 4. I do want to commentate on something that happened in the last duel that many people in the chat found quite funny. When you activate a trap, you want to directly chain your Lady Labyrinth to the trap, but the problem was, is this a problem? We had a Lady in the hand. So instead of activating the Lady on the field in response to our trap activation, we accidentally, thinking that we were activating the Lady on the field, we instead activated the Lady in the hand, which then also chain link blocks the Lady on the field from even activating. Something that obviously could not happen in real life, but through Master Duel, if you don't pay attention to the little icon of which one's on the field, which one's in the hand, you could screw that up. All right, let's hop into game number 1, Dinosaur versus Rescue Ace Snake Eye. Oh, man. If Anderson, I mean, already Anderson getting top 4 with this deck tells me that I think a lot more people are going to pick this up for the other tournaments happening. We have another big tournament this Sunday. I hope this really takes off. Begin. We're going to have to play around Gamma. We did not Gamma negate the Ash adding the Poplars, so that is really interesting. What are we saving the Gamma for? When do we Gamma? We're going to use the Sinful Spoils to send the Poplar to summon a Hydrant from the deck, triggering the Poplar to equip into the back row, triggering the Fire Attacker to summon itself onto the field in response to a Rescue Ace being summoned. Now the Hydrant cannot be targeted, but it could still be negated by the Gamma. If you wait with Gamma for the Turbulence, that may be the ideal if they don't somehow summon something like an Apollo USA to negate the Gamma by the time they activate the Turbulence. So are we going to summon protection for Turbulence or not? Ash is going to send itself plus the Poplar to summon from the deck a Flameburst Dragon. Flameburst Dragon will equip from the graveyard in Ash. And then we're going to link this off into a Promethean Princess. We're not threatening an Apollo USA yet. Now we can. So after this triggers, after it resolves, I don't know. Do we use Gamma to negate the Diablo Star to stop the Apollo USA summon? But then it's like a lose-lose. If we're negating something that's not Turbulence, then you're not negating Turbulence, then Turbulence is going to go through either way. So you have to have the mentality of playing this deck of force out disruption or summon something that will stop the disruption, then summon Turbulence, because it's all about the Turbulence. Yep. Yeah, buddy. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. All that to summon Apollo to then protect your Turbulence. Why do you want to protect this card? Because it's going to set from the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, +4. Let's go. Well, up to 4. We chose to just set 3 so we could have room for the called by. Now, we have the ability to rescue our Hydrant from the graveyard or summon a monster from the opponent's graveyard, which could be a Miscellaneous. Maybe we wait for them to get Miscellaneous in the graveyard, then reborn it onto our field so that they cannot banish it. Otherwise, we could summon a Hydrant, which will then give extra abilities to the Contain and the Extinguish to not only pop a card, but then that monster that's popped cannot activate its name for the rest of the turn. And also the Contain, the monster cannot be used for Exceed, Link, or anything from the extra deck. Let's go. And then we, on top of that, have 4 Monster Negate with the Apollo USA. Also digging into the miscellaneous. The rescue actually, correction. Someone's gonna try to correct me in the comments without, they're gonna pause right here. Thanks a lot. The rescue cannot steal the miscellaneous unless we have a hydrant on the field. And we can't have a hydrant on the field without rescuing it with rescue. Thus, we can't rescue their miscellaneous. So forget that. Let's go. Droll and Lockbird, you cannot add. Now, the Lost World is going to completely screw Rescue Ace. It's going to make it so the Extinguish and the Contain can't be used. So how do we stop it? We're going to chain Called By to the activation of the miscellaneous. Thus, your monsters will be affected by our Contain and Extinguish, and you can't summon a Dino from the deck. And also, just having Lost World on the field, the Apollo just lost a negate. We are banishing and come forth and summon from the deck an Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. In response to the activation of the Lost World, this is when we have to respond to the field spell before it resolves. Otherwise, we can't extinguish, we can't contain. Huh? Bro, we can't. What? You waited. You waited. You can't wait. Apollo can negate in the damage step since it negates the activation. And we're gonna damage step summon the Xeno Meteorus. We can't contain. We can't extinguish. The field spell states that we can only target the token with anything. Any effect that targets can only be used on the token. Baby negated by the Apollo. Wanted is going to be grabbing a Diablo Star in the graveyard back to our hand. It's not really doing anything. I think we're just like trying to do something. But why can't I activate my cards? They're not working. Okay. Wow, the token. Unfreaking believable. They cannot target monsters on the field except the token. So you link off the token and now we're fine. But now we don't have a Rescue Ace. Thus, our other Rescue Ace cards cannot be activated. So we could rescue from the graveyard, our Turbulence, and everything's back to normal. We're fine. We're going to use the Sinful Spoils to send the Linkuriboh to summon a Hydrant. The Hydrant cannot be targeted while we control another Rescue Ace, searching for an Airlifter. Airlifter searching for a Rescue Ace field spell, which could return up to 4, not up to, but 4 Rescue Ace cards in the grave and or banished back in the deck to draw 1. Also allows an additional summon, as we already used up our normal summon. We're now going to use Extinguish to destroy the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno as it is chaining to flip the whole field face down. But then we're going to follow up Contain it, negate it, no flip down for you. And the Turbulence already used its effect, so after returning them back in the deck, we're not going to be able to reset. We're going to use the Wanted Sinful Spoils to return the other one back into the deck to draw 1. Diablo Star, sending Diablo Star to summon a Diablo Star. Diablo Star being triggered to set up into the back row the Sinful Spoils of Doom. Hydrant allowing the activation of a newly set card to search our deck for an Impulse. The additional summon effect of the field spell, I believe we already used it. No, I think we still have that effect, right? Did we? Did we additional summon the Lifter? It doesn't say on the card that we use the effect. We didn't. So there you go. Impulse is here. The Diablo Star suiciding into the Xeno Meteorus as we then attack directly with everything else. Do we have no disruption? What's going on here? The Sinful Spoils of Doom does nothing. The rescue could rescue from the graveyard something that's not going to really do anything. Yeah, we don't really have disruption. But it don't matter. We're out of resources. The field spell is going to return 4, draw 1. Is too much. Let's hop into game 2. You have Ash. You do not Ash the Oviraptor unless you are a mad lad. You Ash the effect of miscellaneous summoning a monster from the deck. Not that you need tips to beat dinos because there really aren't any on the ladder, but still. Droll and Lockbird, you can't further add from the deck to the hand. Thus, we're just going to end our turn because the miscellaneous wants to summon an Archosaur and the Archosaur wants to search and we can't because of Droll. We have the Wanted in response to it, activating Max C. Because we know the Diablo Star is about to be coming, so we are going to Ash negate the Max C. I do not think so. Come to me, Diablo Star. Diablo Star ready to discard a card to come forth and special summon, but first we're going to summon an Airlifter, grabbing ourselves the Rescue Ace HQ, which will allow the additional summon of an untargetable Hydrant. While untargetable, still Ashable, negate, attempting to search for the Turbulence. We are now going to discard Droll to special summon our Black Witch. With the Diablo Star, we are setting up the Sinful Spoils original to send the Hydrant to special summon an Ash from the deck, which will activate to grab a Poplar. Poplar will activate to special summon onto the field. Poplar will then activate to grab another original Sinful Spoils. We're going to use the Wanted to return the other original back in the deck to draw 1 into another Diablo Star, as we then send the Lifter and Poplar into a Hida. Hida could summon a fire monster from the opponent's graveyard, and what's fire? Ash is fire. With the Poplar being sent to the graveyard, it equips into the back row. We're going to then use the Ash to send the Poplar in itself to summon a Flame Burst from the deck. Then Hida will be stealing the opposing Ash. Flame Burst will be pushing the Oviraptor into the back row, but it will be stopped by the Miscellaneous, making it unaffected. Okay, interesting. Now we have Baron de Flor, which can't pop the Oviraptor because it is unaffected. So we're going to be following this up into a Promethean Princess, triggering the Flame Burst to summon 2 level 1 fires from the graveyard back on the field, as the Promethean Princess also summons the Flame Burst from the graveyard onto the field. I'm thinking Promethean summoning the monster in attack position is quite broken. Maybe, I don't want to say Promethean's broken, but I think it would have been more balanced if it could only summon the monster in defense, so it could not summon a Link monster. I'm not trying to ruin your card, I'm just saying. All right, attacking directly, but not enough for a game. Main phase 2, Masquerena. We could use the Baron de Flor to resummon the Flame Burst if we wanted to then reborn a monster in our back row if we had something like that, but the Baron de Flor has not even used up its negate yet. If they special summon, we're going to trigger the effect of the Promethean to then pop the special summon card. We have Masquerena to also link up during the opponent's turn. Let's do it. Archosaur, pop the baby, search for the pill. The pill will give us an Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. The Petite will summon a Pankratops. Pankratops will be able to attribute itself to pop any card in the field, triggering Promethean to force the activation of the Pankratops. Call by the Grave is going to finger the Promethean Princess, which the Baron de Flor will negate the finger, which the Pankratops will chain in response to that to pop the Masquerena. The Masquerena will then chain to Link Summon in response to the pop, so it does not get popped, linking off the entire field to make an Underworld Goddess. Now, Promethean has nothing to pop, so she's just going to stay in the grave. Baron de Flor, negate, Promethean Princess in the graveyard, resolving with no effect. It stays in the graveyard, as I said. Banishing from the grave a Dino and non-Dino to summon an Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, 3,500 attack, big enough to wipe out the Underworld Goddess. Now, main phase 2, Miscellaneous, banishing 4 cards in the grave to summon an Oviraptor, searching our deck for a Babysaurus, which we could pop to flip the whole opposing field face down, and then the baby will summon a monster from the deck, which will not be summoning into Disruption. Wanted into the Diablo Star within the draw phase here. Discard the Black Witch to summon the Diablo Star, activating to set up a Wanted that cannot be activated the turn it was set. We have the original Sinful Spoils, send the field spell, rescue Ace of the Grave to summon an Ash to grab a Kurikara. Kurikara could send the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno only after it activates, which it hasn't. I'm still going to activate it, I don't care. Popped itself. Oh my gosh, the Kurikara was searched for with the Ash, so I guess we had to do it right then and there. Knowing that they had Kurikara, we didn't pop the baby. We made it so the Conductor Tyranno could not be tributed for the Kurikara to then attack for game. 800 life. All we had to do is just 800 damage, and we could not do it. Damn. Shankers off the top of the deck. We have Lost World. I guess we could summon baby, summon a token, attack in the token, pop the baby from the deck. That's, it is a play. Not a great one. Yup, pop the baby, trigger the baby, summon for the deck, Oviraptor, search, sending a Petite, pop the baby, reborn the Petite. Yeah, you know, it's actually pretty great, I think. That was pretty good. Archosaur, pop the Petite. We don't have another Pankratops in the deck, probably. As we activate, in response, the Wanted will be searching. This is not Disruption. The Double Evolution Pill will be able to banish from the graveyard to summon another Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. We got the Xenometeorus. This is really great. What the heck was I talking about? Baby plus Lost World and being able to attack was incredible. Banishing for the pill with the Chang Ying on the field is now going to trigger the Chang Ying to banish a card on the field and in the grave. Holy moly. This was so good. Yeah, banishing goodbye to the Hydrant and the Promethean Princess. Now, with 12 cards banished, the Chang Ying's also going to reduce the field by 1,200 attack. And we got to be careful because the Divine Incarnate's going to be able to tribute any monster that activates, and then get boosted per monster that attributes it. So what do? Flip up the Ash, link off the token. Ash could... Okay, we're going to send the token for a Diablo Star. Diablo Star activating, putting into the back row our original Sinful Spoils, which will send a card we control to summon a level 1 fire, which will be the Rescue Ace Hydrant. We're activating. Uh-oh. Yeah, we flipped down the Hydrant, so now we could tribute the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno with the Divine Incarnate, but we're still waiting. We're banishing to hope that the Chang Ying activates. Chang Ying knows that you want to activate, so we're not going to... Oh my gosh. The Impulse just made it so the Chang Ying cannot activate. That's it. Cannot activate. We're now making a Sunlight Wolf, so there's no more disruption. So we're going to be summoning our Divine Incarnate safely, but how do we out the Chang Ying? Did we forget about that part? The part where we gotta stop it? What the heck is going on? Are we running low on time or what? Baby, swing into the token, pop from the deck a Miscellaneous Saurus. Okay. Miscellaneous, banishing 4 cards to summon a Giant Rex, triggering the Chang Ying to banish the Black Witch and a Hydrant from the graveyard. We're going to then further link up with our own Chang Ying to summon an Underworld Goddess, negating the entire field, reducing the current card down to 1,000 attack. If we activate an effect to summon from the grave, the Goddess can negate, like that. But we're not negating that. We're going to link off the Divine... Oh my gosh. There's nothing we can do about this. Yoink! Anima right in front of the Goddess to give her that good suck for game, thus resulting in a 2-0 victory. Why did we get rid of Chang Ying? Was that necessary? Was Chang Ying in the Anima zone anyway? Maybe it wasn't. I don't remember. That takes like 2 seconds to check here. It wasn't. It was safe from Anima. I don't really know if that was a good play. Yeah, it wasn't. Rebellion's going to be searching for our Serenir. Cartesia and Serenir is branded fusion to the hand. So if you don't negate, or I should say you negate the grass, the branded fusion play is going to happen. Well, actually, Retribution's in the hand. Do we have a way to discard the Retribution as we send a Gangrenol? Yeah, the Albion could send it from the hand, actually. So we should be good. Using the Serenir and the Cartesia for the Gangrenol. Gangrenol send and also Serenir send. We just need an Albion and we're good. Going forward, sending from the deck our branded fusion. Gangrenol sending the Albion. Albion send the Retribution from the hand, which funnily enough summons it onto the field because it was sent from the hand to the grave. We now have branded fusion, which you wasted your Ash on a grass. Maybe that means a card's a little too good if ashing something else was the mistake. We also have set up a branded loss thanks to the Lubellion on the field, tributing the Albion that was just there. Thus, we cannot respond to the summons here. So when can we Nibiru? We can only Nibiru at the end of the main phase. We can't do so in response to the fusion summons. You have to wait for the opponent to pass priority by ending the turn, essentially, or making a non-fusion summon play. Add to us our Cartesia, Albion Fusion Summon. Again, can't Nibiru here in response to the summon of the Mirror Jade. We could Nibiru here, but we're going to wait until the end of the main phase. Activating to non-target monster banish just like that. Banishing our own Lubellion, tributing the entire field, and we banished our Lubellion. Oh my gosh. But we have an Albion. Okay. There's more Lubellions where that came from. That's fine. Gangrenol being triggered off of you summoning a monster through a monster effect to summon a monster onto the field. Mirror Jade activating to then wipe out the Nibiru during the end phase. We now have Quem. Quem sent from the deck to the graveyard a branded and high spirits, which will add itself from the grave back to our hand. We also have a Banishment. Banishment could reborn the Mirror Jade for that non-target monster banish effect to happen again. We also have Cartesia back, Brand High Spirits come back, and let's wipe up that field. We have also, you're not supposed to hard draw Fusion Duplication. You're supposed to set it after a Triple Tactics Thrust. It copies the effect of Branded Fusion, and it's not ashable. So even though you're copying the effect of sending cards from the deck to the graveyard, no ash is usable on that. It's crazy. It makes sense if I explain it to you. You let me know if you want that. Nadir, send the Entis. Entis, trigger to pop a card in the field after adding the Ecclesia. The Quem's going to be triggered because you moved a card from the extra deck. We're going to use the Branded Banishment to reborn our Mirror Jade. No DD Crow, no Bestial, no Ghost Bell, nothing to stop this now that non-target monster banish is here. And we still haven't used Fusion Duplication, which I believe will summon probably the Popper. Yeah, the Borlo Dragon? Wait, we're not playing it? Huh? We're not even playing it. Ain't no way. Copy the Branded Fusion, sending from the deck to the grave Albaz and Maximus to make an Albion Sanctifier, which will have the effect of being untargetable and can reborn 2 monsters from either grave onto either side of the field. Ash and Quem, plus the Branded Loss activating to add from the deck. Oh, I also have a really cool ruling. So first we're going to add the Mercurier, which will activate to be able to negate a monster effect. What does Lost do? Lost makes it so you can't respond to a fusion summon, right? Well, if you use Duplication with Branded Lost, what are you doing? You're fusion summoning, which triggers the Lost to add a card, but the Lost will not protect your fusion summon. You could respond to a fusion summon with the Chainlink 1 Duplication used with the face-up Lost. Why do you think is that? Think about it for a bit. Maybe we'll talk about it later. Quem is going to send from the deck Branded in High Spirits. And we are now going to change everything into attack position with over 17,000 attack on the field. Special summoning an Ariana with the effect of the Welcome Labyrinth. Also using a Dogmatica Punishment to punish and destroy that Mirror Jade. Now, Mirror Jade in response to being destroyed is going to non-target monster banish, getting rid of that Ariana. Sending the Tri-Brigade Arms, which will then send a Garura to then draw a card. We have the Quem being triggered to reborn the Mirror Jade, which makes it activatable. Again, you don't really want to destroy that Mirror Jade. If you can control it, you don't destroy it, especially with a Quem, because it's activatable again. You just gave them double Mirror Jade activate. Ain't no way. And even the Albion Sanctifier could reborn it. So if we destroy it, we could then reborn it a third time. A third effect, non-target monster banished 3 times in 1 turn. Is that what's about to happen here? Now, actually, the Sanctifier can only activate during the opponent's turn, to be fair. The Quem is the main one that reborns it the first time. If we had Banishment, that would be the 3rd summon. The 2nd summon, but the 3rd activation. The Ecclesia can't die from a monster from the extra deck. Now we have the Coup Clock being sent from the hand to the graveyard. The Mercurier is going to negate, but I don't think we even cared about that effect more so than the Torby discarding a card to reborn the clock to block an attack. Well, I think we still did care about that because whatever we would set from the deck would be activatable. So this Mercurier is actually pretty damn good. Discard the punishment, set from the deck, trigger the clock summon onto the field, block an attack. The big welcome was already activated this turn, so it would not have been activatable. Come forth clock. This is where you would possibly, and you know what? You negate the clock summon and the trap they set would not be activatable anyway because the clock needs to be on the field. So you wait with Mercurier to then negate the clock summon. But does it matter? Do we have lethal damage here? Yeah, we missed lethal. We messed up the negate, but I mean, did we really mess up? I don't think we could lose this. Cartesia is fusing with the Guiding Quem to come forth and summon the Quiritis. And let's get to it. We have just a big welcome here. Normal summon the Ash. This is not BM. We're going to return the Ash to activate the Ariana. We're also going to be triggering the effect of the Welcome Labyrinth and the Torby. Torby will summon onto the field. Welcome Labyrinth will set itself onto the field but not be activatable this turn unless we discard the clock. We could discard the clock by activating Torby to add the clock back to our hand to then discard it, then use the Welcome Labyrinth with the Labyrinth to then pop a card in the field. So we're actually cooking. We're doing stuff. Rinbrum, in response to that's going to reborn the Albaz to then potentially fuse with the Ariana. Torby set up, activate the clock add back to the hand. It has to go to the hand. If it's on the field, it cannot use its effect like the other furniture cards. Making a Lubellion. Clock is on the field. That does not work. Okay. Clock is just chilling. Yeah, we can't use Welcome. We can't use Big Well. Okay. I mean, we're going to lose anyway. We're still going to lose. And, I mean, we would still need another monster on the field anyway, which we lost the Ariana. What are we even saying here? Just look at Branded's field. Well, we could still non-target pop. We could still summon a Labyrinth. We could then pop again. We actually have plays, surprisingly. Did not activate anything. Welcome Labyrinth, summon from the deck, chain Max C. Good that it's not Ash. We're good, we're still in this. Chaining Big Welcome. Not waiting for a monster to be summoned to then return it back to the hand to trigger something like a Lovely. We're gonna summon Lady, add it back, pop the Albion Sanctifier, which is protected by the Branded Opening Banishing instead. 3,000 attack, Lady Labyrinth. Now, the Druid Swarm could just swing in, kill itself, activate, send the Lady, unless we were to, in response to the attack, use the Torby, discard, set a card, thus making the Lady untargetable from the Druid Swarm. But, yeah. All right, let's go into game number 2. The Deer Servant locking ourselves out of the extra deck, but we do not care. Grabbing the Ecclesia here. Garura drawing a free card. Thank you, don't mind if I do. And also grabbing another Dogmatic Punishment. Now, unfortunately, only one Dogmatic Punishment can be used per turn, activated per turn. A double. But if something happens to one while it's face down, we could just use the other. Lubellion searching for a Serenir. We have the Branded Opening here, chaining Max C. Instead of summoning, we could add the card to our hand. But it will take up our normal summon. Discarding the Serenir, grabbing the Alubur here. Very well done. Serenir being discarded, activating to send a Retribution from the deck to the grave, which could recycle a Branded Spell Trap on the grave to our hand. This is where we go into some trouble. If we activate the Dogmatic Punishment to pop a card here, sending an Entis is supposed to pop a card in the field, right? But it actually won't, because the Branded Loss will turn it off from activating, because it would then want to be activating in response to a fusion summon. So it'd actually be a mistake to use Dogmatic Punishment right now. Oops. Okay, so we're gonna find out. Or maybe we didn't know that ourselves and we're chaining Super Poly. Or maybe we did know and we wanted Super Poly anyway. Okay. Sure. So the Dogmatic Punishment was not gonna work with whatever fusion it sent because of your newly fusion monster. And I guess we unnecessarily just played even further into Max C, not knowing that the fusion monster would not trigger in response to the Mirror Jade. Okay. Activate the Branded Loss, grabbing our Mercoria for our monster negate in addition to our non-target monster banish. Ecclesia can't die by battle from an extra deck monster. Now we have Dogmatic Punishment again. But openings in the graveyard, right? Why do we... Bruh, just like... I don't know, are you getting tricked? Are you both getting tricked? Just be like, okay, the Dogmatic Punishment's not destroying you. Non-target monster banish, goodbye to the Ecclesia. It didn't even force you. Now we have the Tri-Brigade Arms, activating to send Garura, draw a card. We still have a monster negate. Torby is gonna be negated from setting a trap from the deck. Now, we're still in the draw phase. I was thinking, like, you can't extravagant unless it's the first thing you do in main phase 1, but we're doing all that in the draw phase. Banish 6, get that draw 2. Normal summon Ash, return the Ash back to the hand. Come forth and summon Lovely Labyrinth. Return back to the hand, triggering the Lovely to pop a card in the field. Triggering the Torby to summon itself onto the field, which we could then make a Chaos Angel with to banish the Mirror Jade, potentially. Pop the Lost, recycle a Dogmatic Punishment from the graveyard. We're not going to make the cool Synchro play, which would then trigger the Mirror Jade to wipe out your unaffected Chaos Angel. It's not unaffected because you didn't use a light monster, but it would still, even if it had the unaffected status, it gets destroyed by a lingering effect, not an activated effect. We're going to use Big Welcome Labyrinth to spin the Mirror Jade into the private knowledge area, thus it does not trigger to wipe out the field. But before that happens, we're going to activate the Branded in Red, grab back the Alubur, banish the Mirror Jade ourselves, thus it still does not activate to make a Coritis. But what's more important that's not activating is the Lovely Labyrinth in response to a monster leaving the field through a trap effect will not be activating. But Branded spent. Like, what's going on here? I guess Max C happened, but Max C's not supposed to beat Branded. Welcome Labyrinth in the end phase, summoning our Ariana. Ariana, add from our deck our Lady Labyrinth, which could summon onto the field right here, right now, into defense, which we could change into attack next turn. All right, let's battle this up. Coritis at the end of the main phase, changing everything to 0 attack. We're now within the battle phase, still committing to that battle phase to chain link block the Lady. This is very important to understand this. If they activate a normal trap, they want to chain Lady to it directly to set a new trap from the deck. So if you have anything, Maxi, even if it doesn't make sense, it does make sense right here, right now, to block the trap which blocks the Lady. So no free trap from the deck. That works, that's good. Now, is it that big of a deal? Probably not. We're going to return the Lady back, trigger the Lovely to pop a card on the field or in the hand, triggering the Ariana to draw a card, trigger the Welcome Labyrinth to set itself back onto the field. We're like plus, 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 minus, 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 0, 0, nothing into a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cards, 10, 11 cards, 11 to 0. I think that Labyrinth wins. What the? Grass off the top of the deck. That's gonna mill 20. Okay, we're still like, nah, okay. Nah. Grass with a big old mill. We milling a ton of cards here. What did we mill that's good? Do we have a Retribution in the grave? We got Cartesia, which can add back during the end phase. The Brand High Spirits add back. We have Mercuriers, which if we have a way to banish one of them, we'll activate to grab a branded monster. An Albaz monster that is. Otherwise, having 2 Mercurier in the grave is not so good. Retribution now in the grave to add back that branded fusion. Can I check if Triple T is milled? Triple T, they generally would be playing just 1. No. So yeah, we got rid of Thrust and not caring for Triple T. If we play it, we are going to be using our Mirror Jade for the non-target monster banish play right here, right now. We're going to be using the Big Welcome to spin back our Lady, which means you have to banish one of your own cards. Is that really a big deal? Gotcha. Banish Kit, maybe? Banish Lubellion. Lubellion's gone. Chandelier being triggered to go back to the hand because a monster left the field through a trap effect. Lady's going to be resummoning itself back in the field as the Quem is being triggered to reborn a Mercurier, which Mercurier is not just a hand trap. It's a field trap. It works on the field. If you activate a monster effect while we have Mercurier on the field with a branded fusion on the field, an Albaz fusion, it can negate. We are using the Labyrinth to summon a Fiend monster from the hand or graveyard after a non-Labyrinth trap has been activated. So we are going to be using the Dragostapelia to negate the Ariana, and we're going to be using the Retribution to negate the Welcome Labyrinth, which would have also not only summoned a Lovely, but popped a card on the field, non-targeting, which would then trigger the Lovely to pop another card in the field and or in the hand. And then Lovely would recycle a card in the grave. So that was a big play with that Retribution. In the end phase, Rinbrum, because it wasn't properly summoned, could not summon itself, but it could summon the Albaz. Discarding a card to fuse with the Lady, making a Lubellion. Lubellion, discard a card, return back the Rinbrum and Albaz to then make our Mirror Jade. Now to balance out Lubellion, it cannot attack if you don't fuse with it, but we're fusing with the effect of it during the opponent's turn, thus it can attack next turn. For lots of damage. I don't think we're playing into Nibiru. Everything into attack position here. Over 11,000 damage with just an Ariana to block a single attack. And just like that, Branded Despia is advancing into the grand finale for the 5th week in a row. We have Branded Despia in the grand finale, and it won the last 4 weeks of tournaments. Will Branded Despia win again? 5 weeks in a row against Rescue Ace. Brand new Rescue Ace with the Diablo Star and Snake Eyes. Welcome to the grand finale. back to back to back to back. The last 4 weeks, Branded Despia has been winning every single meta weekly, even having Branded versus Branded in the grand finale. But today is the day where Poplar has just come out. Snake Eyes Poplar alongside Diablo Star is being used to support Rescue Ace, despite many believing that Rescue Ace wouldn't have been that good today because it's missing key cards that made it a top tier deck in the TCG and OCG, like Emergency and Preventer. But it is still prevailing despite missing its support, which means I'm thinking Rescue Ace might be tier 0 if we actually get the support that's upcoming, which I will be leaking soon. Now, without further ado, Hajime. We have Extinguish, which in the name, it extinguishes a monster by destroying it. We have Contain, which contains a monster by negating it and it cannot attack. We have Rescue, which rescues a Rescue Ace in the graveyard to summon it onto the field. And we have Alert, which will give you a Rescue Ace in the graveyard back to your hand. Now, if you have Hydrant, they all gain additional effects, but we do not have one, so we're not going to be talking about that yet. We're now making Masquerena and end our turn, so let's go. Extinguish and Contain plus Masquerena and the Promethean Princess. So if they special summon, we'll destroy. We could link up during our opponent's turn. We could pop, we can negate. It's about 4 disruptions, mate. Let's go. Viscia Lubellion discarding to search for a Druid Swarm, which can't banish the Promethean, but it could banish the Diablo Star. We're gonna chain Max C here. Now, the summon of the Druid Swarm could trigger our Promethean Princess if we wanted to, and we do. Popping the Amber Whale and taking out the Druid Swarm. Now, before the Amber Whale gets popped, we're going to activate the Masquerena to link up with our entire field, making an Apollo USA. Problem, though, the Contain and Extinguish cannot be used unless we control a Rescue Ace. But the Rescue could rescue our Rescue Ace, thus having a Rescue Ace in the field, making them activatable. We have triple Monster Negate as the Promethean Princess is summoned, locking us into Fire Monsters only. Attempting to send the Apollo to the graveyard, that will be a negate. So we need on the resolution right now to rescue, right? We're waiting? We're waiting to rescue. Okay, I don't know if we could really wait. We are banishing a Tragedy to search for an Alibur. Fusion deployment is going to be revealing an Albion to summon an Albaz to then fuse with the fields. Didn't activate. Going to the battle phase, so at the start of the battle phase, we are summoning our Turbulence right here, right now. Now we can Extinguish, destroying the Albaz. And then we can follow up Branded High Spirit, search our deck for an Albaz monster, which will be our Cartesia, which could special summon onto the fields. Get special summoning, Apollo USA negating the hard once per turn effect of special summoning. So we have 3 monsters bricked in our hand. It looks like, wait, we normal summoned. Kick, wait. So we actually had a normal summon there, which will use up the second Apollo negate, 2 negates on the Cartesia. I guess it was still worth it because it could have then normal summoned something else, right? Very well done. Looks like Rescue Ace is taking a definitive Game 1 victory as the Promethean Princess in the next turn, reborning the brand new Flame Merge from the graveyard onto the field, triggering the effect of the Gangrel to summon for the deck of Quem. Now, that will trigger the Impulse to summon a Rescue Ace from the deck because you activated a monster effect in the field. We have to be the direct chain link to it. Now, the Flame Burst Dragon could put any monster on the field or in either graveyard into the back row. The Cartesia is activating. We're going to contain the Cartesia, stopping it from its effects going through. Negate. And then we're going to use Hydrant, search our deck for an Airlifter. We have not used up our normal summon yet until now, summoning the Airlifter, grabbing the field spell. Now, Alert, because we control a Hydrant, it's not just adding from the graveyard, it could then add from the deck. And the Rescue Ace HQ will allow an additional normal summon, and it could return 4 cards in the graveyard and or banish that are Rescue Ace cards back in the deck to draw 1. Thus, we could then use the Turbulence to set up to 4 cards again from the deck. And then, with the Hydrant, we could use one of those newly set cards activatable that turn, including the Trap. So we are going to be grabbing that. We got the Rescue Ace HQ, return 4, as I just said. Holy mo, this is a lot. This is a lot. We got a real deck here. Turbulence it up. Rescue, contain, extinguish, and alert. We're gonna be linking this off into a Hida. Hida with the arrows are being messed up. That's gonna trigger the Quem. We're gonna use the contain. Negate the Quem after negating the Cartesia twice in one turn. Just like that. Negate. Thanks to Hydrant allowing the newly set contain to be usable. And then we have a Kurikara being used over the Cartesia for over 15,000 damage. Is this the new best deck or what? What was that? Absolute insanity. That was crazy. We have no hand traps to stop Branded Despia's turn 1 play. I want to talk about this. Oh, I really want to talk about this. Is something. This is the Triforce. If you have Quem, Cartesia, and Mirror Jade, those 3 monsters on the field, you can non-target monster banish. Then you could Cartesia fuse with the Mirror Jade into, let's say, having another dark monster in your hand or on the field into a Dragostapelia for a monster negate, triggering the Quem to reborn the Mirror Jade to non-target monster banish again. So there you go, 2 non-target monster banishes and a Dragostapelia generally is what this field means. And on top of that, we also have the Branded Banishment, which could reborn a monster from the graveyard and then fuse with either side of the field. Let's go. All right, we're adding a Bestial too. The deck is mostly going to be fire monsters. Now, the Diablo Star Black Witch is dark, so that could get Bestialed. Grabbing the Diablo Star with our wanted. Discarding the Flame Burge, which does activate if discarded from the hand, but only if we have 2 level 1 fires in the grave, as she then sets up an original Sinful from the deck onto the field as the Ash on summon activates to search for a Poplar, trigger its effect to summon itself onto the field to search for another card. Now the Droll and Lockbird is chaining to the effect of it trying to summon and search as we then use Crossout Designate to negate the Droll and Lockbird. Negate. Everyone's still playing Droll. Activate the effect of the Poplar, search in our deck for a Snake Eyes. Because you summoned a monster through a monster effect, the Gangrenol will now activate. To summon from the deck or extra deck, we're summoning a Coritis. Coritis could reduce the entire opposing field to 0 attack. We're grabbing a second copy of the original Sinful Spoils, and we're going to be chaining the Called By in response to the Banishment, trying to reborn the Tragedy to then fuse with either side of the field. Negate. Now, we are going to, on the attack, attempt to banish the Diablo Star attacking into the Quem with the Mirror Jade, but we are going to follow up with the Sinful Spoils of Doom, which will not only reduce the Mirror Jade to 0 attack, not 0, but 500 attack, but also destroy the Quem, but make the Diablo Star unaffected from being banished by the Mirror Jade. Rah. Deuce. They just blew up. Any monster going to 0 attack blows up. So goodbye Quem, goodbye Cartesia, goodbye Coritis, and the Mirror Jade is at 500. Now, we do get to banish the Poplar. The Coritis is summoning from the deck. Albaz cannot fuse with the Diablo Star. You cannot do it. And an interesting ruling with fusion summoning is you can't attempt an illegal fusion. So even though you're unaffected, you can't even try to fuse with something unaffected by just discarding. Nope, can't happen. Unaffected from the banish, unaffected from the fusion. This card is actually nuts. Mirror Jade being sent to the grave by battle will be activating to wipe out the Black Witch, but it is unaffected, right? Let's see if it's unaffected from just activate effects. It is unaffected by other monster effects, all monster effects. Okay, but it's gone anyway. We are going to be having a Hydra on the field searching for a Turbulence within main phase 2, linking off the field into a Barricade Borg blocker discarding a Hydrant. Now we are going to be using the Rinbrum to summon the Albaz to fuse with the blocker to make a Mirror Jade to banish the Turbulence as they are attempting to set up another 4-card back row play. Holy moly. Very well done. Did we need to make the blocker? Did we screw ourselves or what? we needed the Hydrant discarded. We needed both Hydrants to banish for the Turbulence, so we actually had to make this play, giving them access to a Mirror Jade. Discard, get Fusion Summoning, and just like that, we got that Mirror Jade. So we're not even bothering to summon the Turbulence because we know it will get banished, and we don't want them to banish, then have a further search with whatever fusion monster they send to the graveyard, giving them a bigger, more powerful follow-up turn to probably lethal us with, as we're gonna lose anyway. Banishing from the grave Albion and Albaz to make a Dragostapelia, and just like that, the field is at 9,000 damage as we hold the Turbulence in our hand and not even bother summoning it. Barely. Branded Despia barely beats Rescue Ace. I'm not trying to, overplay it. We had a big play. We had that Turbulence. We had set 4. That Albaz Rinbrum play changed the entire duel. Ash on summon, activating to grab the Poplar. Poplar, when added, activate to special summon itself onto the field, activating its effect on summon to search the deck for a Snake Eye spell. And we chose to just set 3 because I'm thinking we only play 1 alert. So with 1 alert and not being in the deck, we could not set the 4th one. Now, what do we have here? We have Contain a monster by negating it and it cannot attack. We have Extinguish a monster by destroying it. We have Rescue, which could rescue a monster from our graveyard. We have Promethean Princess, which could reborn itself to pop a monster on the field after a monster is special summoned. So that's 3 disruptions plus an Apollo negate. That is 6 disruptions, essentially the public disruptions, not counting the DD Crow. Let's go. We're going to be activating the Branded High Spirits, and we're chaining the Wanted Sinful Spoils, which does not add to a disruptive play, as we add the Diablo Star in the graveyard to our hand. Okay. Now, the Branded High Spirits is sending a Gangrel from the extra deck to the graveyard here. We're now using Rescue to rescue our Hydrant. Now, with the Hydrant on the field, it gives additional effects to our cards. The Contain will not only negate, but now the monster cannot be used for a fusion against Branded. It also cannot be used to make a Verte Anaconda. Can't link, can't fuse, can't use the extra deck. Now, the Extinguish will also, if we destroy a monster like the Mirror Jade will not activate in the graveyard to wipe out the field. The monster's name cannot be activated for the rest of the turn. Let's go. Kit on normal summon, activating to search our deck for a Branded Fusion, as the Contain will negate. And as I said, it can't be used for the extra deck. It's just stuck on the field. Now, why did we go to the battle phase? Because I guess we thought we could have attacked into the Hydrant. Maybe I forgot to tell you that the Hydrant could not be targeted by card effects nor attacks as long as we control another Rescue Ace, which we control the Turbulence protecting the Hydrants. Oh boy. We are now using the Nadir Servant, turning off our extra deck, sending a Garura to add a Maximus to activate Garura to draw a card. Maximus banished the Garura to come forth in special summon. We're now going to extinguish the Maximus before it activates to send 2 cards from the extra deck to the grave. You're out. And we're not done. Wait, did we really not activate any monster effects? How did we not get to Thrust? We couldn't get Apollo to activate. We couldn't trigger the Turbulence, which triggers from another card leaving the field by a card effect. We couldn't trigger the Promethean Princess, which special summon if you were to special summon a card in the field. No, nada. We couldn't do anything. Thus, the Thrust in our hand is dead, and it looks like the back-to-back curse of Branded Despia winning every single meta weekly 4 weeks in a row is coming to an end, as it's about to lose to Rescue Ace, Diablo Star, Snake Eyes. This is it. Off the top of the deck, we have Fire Attacker. We have Hydrant searching our deck for an Impulse. We have 2 summons with the Rescue Ace HQ. First, we're going to use the effect to return 4 Rescue Ace cards in the grave and or banish back of the deck to draw 1 card. Into attack, our Hydrant goes, activating the Turbulence to set 4 cards in the deck. Now, them being the quick play effects and traps, they're not activatable the turn they're set unless you have a Hydrant. One of them are now activatable. We're going to discard a Diablo Star to summon a Diablo Star from the hand, triggering her effect to set from the deck a Sinful Spoils of Doom. Rescue Ace HQ, additionally summoning the Impulse with almost 14,000 damage on the field. We are now going for game, attacking for 0 with the Hydrant as Apollo USA finishes off Branded Despia, thus ending the curse officially. Rescue Ace Snake Eyes Diablo Star is your winning deck. Not pure Snake Eyes, Rescue Ace. Ain't no way. And unfortunately, within the top 16, Rescue Ace had to play against another Rescue Ace. So we don't know if the other Rescue Ace player, had they not been paired up earlier, maybe would have made it all the way to the grand finale for a Rescue Ace on Rescue Ace grand finale. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not trying to hype this up too much, but holy moly. And we'll be getting to all the deck lists in a bit. Let's get to it. Oh my gosh, let's go. Snake Eye, oh, top 16, let's go, damn. Labyrinth, Rescue Ace, that's not even including the Snake Eye being used in Rescue Ace. Pure Snake Eye was the most used? Ain't no way. Let's scroll down to the bottom, I don't want to spoil anything. All right, starting with the bottom of the top 16, we have Valeru with Exo Sister. Very nicely done. Good job to you in the new Snake Eye meta. We then have Super Heavy Samurai. Nothing too crazy or different here. Let's move on. We then have Gargolo with Dynamorphia. I am happy to see this do well. Good job to you. All right. And then we have Zain Youssef. So let's look at the main deck first. What are going to be key themes here? Magician's Soul's probably not being used by everyone. And what else is interesting? 1 Oak, 2 of the Flame Burge, 3 of the Black Witch, 3 Wanted, that's of course. How many copies of the original Sinful Spoils is something we really want to be looking at. So for this version, playing 1, sure. Triple Imperm, we got the Sinful Spoils of Betrayal for the Omni Negate, and not playing Borreload Savage Dragon, just playing Formula Synchron into the Baron de Flor with the Flame Burge play. Very nice. And then we saw so much Promethean Princess with the Amblo Whale. That's big. Okay, Jamer J, Labyrinth, top 16. Anything too different here? Looking quite standard with the extra deck. Okay. And then we have Bombo with another pure Sinful Spoils deck, Snake Eyes. We got the Trap. We have 2 original Sinful Spoils for this one. Just 2 Poplar. Was that a choice or was that to save money? And we're using Lear Lusk in the Zeus. A lot of people are not playing Zeus with the Lear Lusk. Nightingale, okay, I mean, it's all level 1 monsters. It makes sense. That's good. Let's keep on going. Another pure Snake Eyes deck. Let's look at the main deck first here. Anything interesting? 2 of the Sinful Spoil. Wait, is 2 Poplar the way? Okay, 2 Poplar, 2 original Sinful Spoils. All of them, I think, are playing 2 Flame Burge. You definitely want to play 1 Kurikara because it's searchable. Nice. And then the extra deck, we got the Lear Lusk into the Zeus, Formula Synchron. I think that Borreload should be played. And the Where Art Thou for consistency, I love it. Searching for the Poplar, that's good. Okay. Then, Doggy Da Boy. I mean, all these decks are Snake Eye. What the heck? 2 Poplar again. 2 Poplar, 2 Where Art Thou. We have the double original Sinful Spoils. Is this like the same deck list or what? Wait, is this card for card? Okay, people are joining as friends and they're playing the same exact deck, sure. Mobile Axe with nothing new, but PK, very nicely done. There's the extra deck, there's the main. And then we have Waylay Davy playing the new Diablo Star Black Witch with the Omni Negate Trap, being able to negate any face-up card in the field. 2 Wanted, not 3. 1 Museum for the 1 Durendal. Interesting. We then have Titacon playing Diablo Star, of course. Diablo Star playing the Sinful Spoils of Doom to reduce the whole field by 2,500 and destroy anything less than 2,500 or equal to it. That's pretty cool. Using the Time Star Magician to search for the Black Witch. That's crazy. All right, all right. And Black Fang could also reborn her from the graveyard. So there's a lot of dark spellcaster support in the Pendulum deck. Now, Bull, top 8. Rescue Ace, 45 cards. I think we're going to have to come together as a community and try to get this deck down to 40. Is it possible? Is the deck just too thick? 2 Poplar, 3 Ash, 3 Wanted, 2 Original Sinful Spoils. This is something like this is what I'm immediately going to play off stream. This is the deck. Something like this. I'm going to look at both of them and see which one I like better, or maybe combine them together. So there's the extra deck. Very nice. And then we have more Labyrinth. Anything too crazy? We got the Nadir Servant engine. I do like this. Makes the deck a bit more expensive. And then Dinos is also something I want to play, even though it's not really too new, but it's something I've just been having my eye on. So yeah, the Xeno Meteorus with the triple ground Xeno. This is some fun stuff. Chang Ying and Baron DeFleur protected with the Sprite Elf. Yup. Then we have Darth, second place with Branded Despia. The Villain with Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. There is the main deck. There is the extra deck. And it has lost to 48 cards. Anderson Strife, Rescue Ace, Diablo Star with 1 Flame Burge. We got 2 Sinful Spoils original, 1 Poplar. Okay, so the triple Ash is the most important here. We have the triple Wanted, triple Ash. Very nicely done. 1 for 1 is definitely a good idea. Of course, I did suspect he was only playing 1 alert. Makes sense. All right, there's the extra deck. We even have a Baron DeFleur up in here with a, where's the Jet Synchron? Or, okay, Ash plus the level 7 Fire Engine. That's going to be our Baron DeFleur play, right? Or the Diablo Star, the Black Witch, yeah. 7 plus Ash, sure. Is that the main way to summon it, though? That's what I'm thinking. Okay, and then we have the Sinful Spoils of Doom, wipe up the field, 2,500, not playing the trap that negates. That is definitely interesting. And just like that, ooh, let's go. Let's click on this and look at the Snake Eye breakdown, the Rescue Ace breakdown, do tournaments only. So combining both of their decks, it looks something like this. First place in top 8, very nice. And then the Snake Eye breakdown, we'll do tournaments only. Yup. 100% Formula Synchron, 100% Baron DeFleur. 100% are playing 2 Poplar. Ooh, okay. 75% playing 1, 25% playing 2. This is 1 to 2 of, mostly being played at 2. 41 cards on average. The extra deck is pretty well decided. Half are playing the Nightingale, the other half are playing Zeus. And yeah, I'm so happy with this tournament. I'm excited for the next tournaments that happen. You know, we even had a Mad Lad playing with the Magician of Souls. That is great. Very well done to everyone. Thank you all to the viewers, as I could see you up here and in the chat over there. Thank you. I appreciate your support immensely.